What is up, ladies and gentlemen? In this video I've got something special for all the Robby fans out there. This one is where I sort of delve into why Robby was still a Miyagi Do even though he was in Juvie. And it's this scene right here. This scene, this moment. Where we're introduced to Shawn, we're introduced to a real thug. Stand aside, Kyler. And, you know, Shawn does his, slams cards across the table, threatens the other inmate, and Robby immediately snaps round straight away. And I got vibes of Dimitri in Season 2, when Robby was looking out for Dimitri, and then after the whole Miyagi Do trashing thing by Hawk and crew, Kreese ends up leaving Cobra Kai. Kreese leaves Cobra Kai and he goes to join Miyagi Do, and Robby is the first over there to defend Dimitri and, fight on his behalf. It feels sort of like that the Miyagi Do teachings still reside within Robby, especially in this scene here, where he's looking out for this inmate. He asks if he's alright, and he's ready to jump into the fire to keep someone safe. As Daniel always said, Miyagi Do isn't always just about protecting, just about yourself. It's about protecting yourself and defending others. And here, before he, picks up the phone and hangs up, we do see that Robby still cares. He still cares about people. The teachings of Miyagi Do definitely had a positive impact on him. But I think just the way things went with him in Juvie, and the way the strike first policy instilled to him by Kreese worked in his favor. It swayed him away from those teachings, and as we see at the end of the season, it comes full circle. And I know going into Season 4, people have said that, Robby will have the Miyagi Do teaching and the Cobra Kai teaching, but I feel like him using more of a Cobra Kai technique is him distancing himself from all of it. He won't be using any defense whatsoever, unless he absolutely has to. He's going to be more so attack first, head on. He's going to be diving straight in there. And essentially the roles between him and Miguel for the All Valley have flipped. Miguel was the one that was striking first, and Robby was on the defense and countering, and they're both going to be flipping in a sense, I mean, I know Miguel still has Johnny, but I do feel like Daniel will have an impact on Miguel to where he takes all of Robby's attacks and uses them against him, while Robby will just be, using attack. And I feel like Robby suits Cobra Kai a little bit more. Anytime he was in Miyagi Do in Season 2, he was always hitting that bag, he was always punching the bag, and it feels like when he was with Tory in Cobra Kai, and she's like, "Are you running away again?" and all that, and she's booting the bag to show him how good it can be to get your anger out. It feeds into what he was doing throughout the whole of that season, and it further adds to the such a tragedy that Robby fell pretty... I know people don't really like the Star Wars comparisons, but again, people, I'm talking about thematic storytelling. I'm not talking about beat for beat Robby is Anakin kind of thing. I'm just talking similarity. Robby is a product... He is the prodigal son who has so much potential that falls from grace and joins the dark side. And that's pretty much what happens to Robby. And I've got a nice video lined up on what if Johnny visited Robby. Everything could have been different. Seriously, everything could have been different. And I feel like in this scene here, it's one of the great things about this show. It's not like Robby just joined Cobra Kai for the sake of it. I'd say for a good half of Season 3, up until probably he saw Sam and Miguel together, Robby was pretty neutral. Throughout most of the season, he was pretty neutral. He didn't really have a side. He was just kind of his own thing. And I much prefer characters that are always just sort of in the middle and floating between. They don't really choose a side. And then obviously at the end of the season, he, goes full Cobra Kai and embraces the Cobra Kai philosophy. But I feel like at this particular scene, at this particular moment, despite everything that's just happened to him, despite being off the back of kicking Miguel over the railing, despite being on the run, despite, Daniel selling him out, in his eyes, Daniel selling him out, he still uses the teachings of his sensei, from his sensei, to defend someone else. Now, he doesn't outright defend Angel, or whatever the guy's name is. He doesn't outright defend him. He just, he gets up ready like he's gonna do something and asks if he's okay, because he still cares about others. And then obviously it comes full circle, that whole bit there. when we return to the Juvie scenes later on, when Shawn ends up, going to town on Robby with all of his boys. And do I think that Miyagi Do defense can work against Shawn and his crew? Absolutely. Of course. The defense can work, 100%. But I feel like Robby's experience is not... It's not enough against 3-4 dudes, especially a couple of them who are twice his size, in that situation. So in a way, Kreese is right. Striking first in this situation, it makes more sense, because then you gain the respect of Shawn for taking the fight to him. And, if he hadn't have had the numbers, Robby would have beat Shawn by himself. But lest we not forget the fight that Shawn put up against Robby, who has been training for 2 seasons. So if Shawn is to join Cobra Kai, then I'll say this: he's going to be an amazing asset, and he'll be great in the tournament. Absolutely great. He was that good with little to no training. Probably just experience in a lot of fights. And unlike Kyler, Shawn's a guy where if you beat the crap out of him, he'll just respect you. But he's not going to cower away in the corner like Kyler would. As much as I feel like Kyler and Shawn would probably get on quite well, because they like, harassing other people. But I do feel like, again, in this scene here, it shows that Robby was pretty much neutral for most of the season. It's only after the Kreese visit. The minute the Kreese visit happened, and after Johnny decided not to visit him, that was the moment that Robby started to get swayed by the powers of the dark side. And I say dark side because it feels like the dark side, you know what I mean? Cobra Kai's philosophy, you can always argue and debate which one is the stronger, which one is the better. Comment that down below, actually. What's your desired philosophy? Leave it down in the comment section below. But I did want to do this scene. I know a couple of people have been asking me my thoughts on Robby and Juvie, and I thought, he had some of the most badass scenes in the show while he was in Juvie. My one gripe is, I feel like we should have got more. I feel like there should have just been scenes, sometimes at nighttime, while Robby sat on the bunk. It's nighttime, and he's just sat there, while everyone else is asleep, right? Imagine this. Everyone else is asleep. Robby sat there by himself on his bunk at night, just thinking. Just thinking. He's just in deep thought. He's thinking about kicking Miguel over the staircase. He's thinking about Sam. He's thinking about the relationship with his father. He's thinking about Daniel selling him out. All these things going through his mind. Similar to how Miguel was stuck in the hospital, thinking about things on repeat because he had no connection to the outside world other than a phone or people visiting him. The same as Robby. So if you think about it, Robby and Miguel, for a good chunk of Season 3, were very similar. They were in isolation, they were relying on people visiting them, and they were in pretty bad spots. So they both were in bad spots, and they both went alternating ways. They're the inverse of each other's arcs. So essentially, they just traded places. But guys and girls, leave your comments down below. I really enjoyed this scene when it happened, just because it's not like they just turned Robby bad. You know what I mean? That there is actual justification for why Robby goes to Cobra Kai, and this is one of the reasons. And it doesn't just, say, right, okay, all the training, all the Miyagi Do training that he's been doing for 2 seasons, that goes out the window. Bye-bye. No. They still kept that in line with his 2 seasons arc up to this point. He was still Robby. He was still, looking out for others, still putting others ahead of himself, and still a selfless, caring, kind, compassionate individual. And I still think, even though he's in Cobra Kai, he will still have that kind of edge to his character. He will still care. He will still show kindness. And that will be his barrier against Kreese and Silver. Because he... As much as he wants to get the anger out, and as much as he needs to get the anger out, he's still a good kid at heart. And he knows pretty much the morals of right and wrong. So he will definitely rebel against Kreese and Silver in that regard. And whether he goes full on dark side, or whether he, leaves early on, he could leave them before the All Valley. Maybe he fights for Daniel in the All Valley at the tournament. Maybe he doesn't fight for Cobra Kai. Who knows? It's all up in the air, As I said, his arc is going to be a repeat of Daniel's arc. All Robby's arc is a drawn-out version of Daniel joining Cobra Kai. That's literally all it is. It's a more fleshed-out version, a more tragic version, and eventually it's all going to work out in the end. But, you know, we've got to go through a bit of a rough patch first. Anyway, this video went on a lot longer than I intended. Guys and girls, leave your comments down below on what kind of scenes you wanted to see more of this season. Did you like Robby's scenes in Juvie? Did you think it added much to his character? I thought it added significant amounts. But just a few scenes here or there, i.e. the one where he sat by himself on the bunk just thinking about memories or thinking about the recent events, would have added so much, because it's a scene where you don't need dialogue. The emotions and the thoughts and the process and the expressions of the character really convey it in a way that nothing else can. You know what I mean? So guys and girls, comment down below. Chosen Vader Karate is dismissed, and I will see you all in another video soon. And remember, you keep for your collection. Also, can you guys comment down below my taglines? Now, the ones I used to end these videos with was, defeat does not exist in this dojo, does it? And then, I think it was, now the real pain begins, Danny boy, or your karate's a joke. And then obviously, you keep for your collection. Comment my new one. I want a new one. I want to change it up a little bit. See you guys down in the comments section.